good. Let me go back to the panel now. And Suha, I think you have been waiting very patiently. Thank you for being so patient. I'd like to come to Suha Labadi, who is our next panelist. And Suha Labadi is a project coordinator with the ILO technical projects. She's actually a project coordinator for two technical projects. Good luck with that. I know how difficult it is to handle the projects, but good luck with handling the two projects on the FAIR program and working with garment workers and domestic workers, both very vulnerable groups in Jordan. I have had the opportunity to visit Jordan and see some of the work of the ILO there, and I found it very impressive in some of the pioneering work actually that is being done by the ILO office in Jordan. So thank you for joining us, and over to you. What is the ILO doing by way of information, timely and correct information? Suba. Suha.
Thank you so much, William, and thanks everyone for giving the ILO the opportunity to share our experience, especially on the importance of providing migrant workers with accurate and reliable information, before even they migrate to the countries of destination. One of the things that we always want to focus on is that the purpose of information sharing with the migrant workers is not only about accumulating knowledge, but we really want them to take the right decision, make correct and informed choices at the right time. Now, if you want to go back to 2016, the ILO adopted the general principles and the operational guidelines for fair recruitment. The guidelines and principles basically list 13 principles and I think 31 guidelines for the national stakeholders to implement in order to reach fair recruitment. One of the core principles is basically to make sure that workers should have access to free, comprehensive and accurate information regarding their rights and the conditions of their recruitment and employment. Now, if you want to look at the experience of not only the ILO in Jordan, but also our national stakeholders, CSOs and NGOs who are working here in the country, that has, the estimate says that there is around 360,000 documented migrant workers here. The number of those who are undocumented is not clear. The government estimates the number to be around 800,000. One of the main struggles migrant workers face is basically lack of information or access to information. And our colleague from IOM, Mohammed, highlighted, and which is very true, that this would definitely increase their vulnerability to abuse, violation of their rights and discrimination. Now, the main issue is that we know that, whether human traffickers or sometimes labor recruiters or even employers, they do follow, the issue of holding or hiding information from migrant workers. Sometimes it could be information related to their pay and hours. They don't have, enough information about pay and hours. They sometimes get to know that information once they reach the country, once they reach Jordan. And at this stage, it's a bit difficult for them to decide to go back to their home countries. They already incurred different costs or fees, and they cannot just simply leave and go back home. Now, we've done a study this year on the recruitment from India to Jordan under the Work and Freedom Program. And we found that Indian workers got only aware, some of them, I'm not saying that all of them, but there is a number of Indian workers who only got to know about the terms of their contracts when they reached Jordan. It wasn't before. And not only that, they only realized then that it is a mandatory 3-year contract. Workers in the garment sector have a 3-year contract, and they knew that piece of information once they got to Jordan, not before that. In addition, the wage, for example, it's a simple example. Workers get paid here, their wage is basically calculated as cash and in kind. Some of them didn't even know that there is an amount that will be deducted as in-kind payment until they reached in-kind payment until they reached Jordan. Now, the ILO has been working for years with the government of Jordan to improve the compliance with the international labor standards. especially at the enterprise level in the garment sector. I'm very specific to the garment sector because this is basically what we're focusing on. It's the garment and the domestic sector. However, there are still violations related to fundamental principles at work that are still being reported, whether on limited or restricted freedom of association, illegal recruitment practices, and poor living and working conditions. Now, the issue, honestly, the widespread practice or the practice of contract deception, and I'll elaborate more on that, and of charging fees to migrant workers makes them, of course, more vulnerable to exploitation and forced labor. We have data that shows people who work here in Jordan would need probably around 9 months to pay the debt that they paid back home. Now, to address these abuses, the ILO is implementing a program called the Integrated Program on Fair Recruitment. It looks at promoting fair recruitment practices between countries of origin and countries of destination for workers who want to migrate in the garment industry. For Jordan case, we're focusing on what is called a corridor, a safe corridor, or promoting a safe corridor between Nepal and Jordan in the garment sector. Now, we have different objectives for the project, but we also have one main objective, which is basically to provide migrant workers with access to reliable information and services. Now, to achieve that, we're pursuing several, let's say, intervention tracks. We've partnered or developed a partnership with what we call an ethical recruiter or an ethical employment agency. That is basically focusing on two issues, not only that workers should not pay any fees, but at the same time that they should be aware, they are fully aware of the working and conditions here in the country before they even come to Jordan or before they decide to migrate to Jordan. Now, because we know that the pre-departure training on providing information before taking the decision to migrate is a very critical aspect of fair recruitment, we've developed together with our national stakeholders a comprehensive pre-departure awareness program, only to provide like effective, comprehensive, and transparent information. But it is very specific to the garment or to the apparel industry in Jordan, so that migrant workers get to know a little bit about Jordan. The key information that we give during that training program is, first of all, we get, like, the FAIR team would provide information on the legal frameworks and policies in Nepal related to labor migration. There's also a section on living in Jordan. What is it? How to live in Jordan? How is the condition, the weather, how is the weather in Jordan, the culture, the religion, and all of these things, general information about Jordan and general information about the garment sector as well. And then we also give them information about the working and living conditions in the garment industry. Of course, including, we talk about how we make sure that they do understand the terms of the contract, their labor rights, the wages, working hours, health, safety, and support systems in Jordan. Now, these trainings are delivered, as I said, in the countries of origin through training centers. The ILO made sure that we equip the trainers so that they provide accurate also information on Jordan. And just to make sure that once they decide or make the decision to come and work in Jordan, they are fully aware of their working and living conditions. Now, I want to give a simple example based on the experience we had during the pre-departure training. There is, unfortunately, I don't have the exact number, but I know that there was a number of migrant workers. Once they took the pre-departure training, they decided not to migrate. They said, okay, this is not what we're aiming at. We just don't want to migrate at this stage. Other migrant workers who were deceived in the past, or who had friends or families who were deceived, their contracts were deceived in the past, were skeptical, honestly, about the information that we provided during the training, and kept asking the trainers all the time, are you sure that this is the case? And is there anything that you're trying to hide? Is there anything that we are missing? So they are, you know, they were, as I said, they wanted to make sure that this information that was provided to them was accurate. One of the issues that we noticed when they came to Jordan, because we meet with them once also they arrived to Jordan, is that we talked to different workers, but those who came through the pilot, let's say, through the Nepal-Jordan corridor, they were more empowered. They knew about the working and living conditions. They knew about how to calculate their wages. They did it themselves, how to calculate their social security and all of that. They were more empowered to bring issues of concerns to the management. So if there is something that was of concern to them, they took it immediately to the management and discussed it with the management. Now, to look at how the corridor is impacting, let's say, migrant workers, we did an impact assessment that was commissioned by Tufts. Tufts did the assessment. The interviews covered, or the assessment covered basically the workers who came through the pilot, who were fairly recruited, let's call them, and then conventionally recruited workers who did not come through the corridor. The findings was that migrants often do not learn that the pay have been promised. For example, they will tell them that this is what they pay, especially for, I'm talking about, of course, conventionally recruited migrant workers. They tell them, for example, that this is the pay that you will be getting back home when you go to work in Jordan. But they hide part of the information. They only realize that they will get that amount that they were told about in the countries of origin only if they work overtime or if they reach their production target. You know, so such information was only revealed when the migrant actually began working. And the problem is that this is exactly where workers faced verbal abuse or had that confrontation between the migrant worker and the supervisor, or that kind of misunderstanding. So and then one of the findings is that the earlier prospective migrants learn about their actual pay, hours, and working conditions, the more likely they are able to make an informed decision about migration. You know that generally, in general, key stakeholders always, or at most times, focus on recruitment fees, focus on confiscation of documents. And they do focus, and this is something that was brought up actually in the discussion, they do focus on having the contract in a language that the migrant worker can understand. The impact assessment found that it's very important. All of them are really important, including the recruitment fees and all of that. But in order to control the contract deception, that is basically what the migrant workers are usually facing, recruiters should go, we have to go beyond providing the contract in the migrant's native language. It's not enough to have, to insist. It's good, it has to be in the worker's native language, but we have to go beyond that. We have to provide them with pre-departure training that tells them or instructs them exactly on how to calculate their pay, their hours, and to make sure that this information is available to them before even they make the decision to migrate. Now, of course, again, that's one of the main findings, that fairly recruited migrants experience less contract deception than conventionally recruited migrants, because they get to learn about how or the amount that they're getting paid, the number of hours, their social security, and all of that. So this is one part actually related to providing reliable information to migrant workers. The FAIR is also working on, and I'm pretty sure that this is something that you probably heard of, is the TripAdvisor recruitment model that is designed and tested by the ITUC. It basically rates the recruiters, but this is not something that we're working on in Jordan. My colleagues in different countries are focusing on. Just one last thing, if you allow me, William, and this is because it's very important that we highlight, during COVID-19 pandemic, access to information here in Jordan became very challenging for migrant workers. The country went for a draconian lockdown for almost 1 month. The government during that time activated what is called the defense order and issued different defense orders on different areas. One of them is on payment of wages, on how to buy medicine because it's a lockdown, on how to shop for groceries, on how to have access to social protection schemes. Unfortunately, none of the defense orders were not translated into workers' languages. They were kept in the dark on the terms, on basically what is the content of the different defense orders that were issued. So this is, at least from my side, there's a lot to do, honestly. We have to do more. Whatever we do is never enough. When you, William, discussed at the beginning the info overload, this is not the case in Jordan. I wish we reach a stage whereby we have an information overload. There is always lack of information when it comes to migrant workers. So that's it from my side, and I'm ready to answer any questions you may have. And over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Suha. Thank you so much for that, and thank you for also sharing very candidly to us that yes, migrant workers are skeptical. I like that to and I wonder how much information that migrant workers are receiving they are skeptical about, because a lot of the information is packaged information, and they've been hearing stories. They know what is at stake, and they make some calculated decisions on their own in terms of risk they are willing to take. So I like that when you say they are skeptical also about some of the information they receive. I also like what you have said about making the right decisions at the right time, kind of thing. And the program, I did not know that the ILO was actually so directly involved in pre-departure orientation. When you say that they are at the country of level of origin, you are doing this training in which migrant workers even decide. Some have even decided that they will not make the journey anymore, kind of thing, which is good. And I think we've got to move in that direction. I will ask you to think about, though, is that all this rights education that you talk about, at the end of the day, how many migrant workers, given the context we have in migrant kind of worker situation, at least in our region, kind of thing, the power dynamics between employer and employees, kind of thing, how much of that rights information really translates into empowerment and exercising of their rights in times when it is needed? I think this is something I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. But then